another episode of the Next Fix podcast. And today we've got Meridee with us, and she's on board with us, being familiar with the rock bottom. But of course, the best part of that story is the comeback, right? Success stories are boring. Comeback stories are valiant and valuable and entertaining, and we love them. So Meridee, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Right. Okay. I'm anxious to hear. She's kind of unveiled that she's familiar with the rock bottom. So, as per usual, I always ask, when did the shit hit the fan, Meridee? What did it look like, and how did your story develop?
Okay. So, there's been a few piles of shit that have hit the fan. Because that's life, right? It's choosing to have the right mindset to pull yourself out of it. And so my parents were a horrible couple, and they fought all the time. That's just what they did. My parents were both smokers. My grandfather, and he was a smoker. He died from cancer. My grandmother, these both on my dad's side, she was not a smoker, never smoked a cigarette in her life, but she had various different kinds of cancer throughout her body. She died in her early 40s. Then if we move over to my mom's side, we've got her father had 7 brothers and sisters, and every single one of them died from cancer of some sort. Every single one. So 8 kids all died from cancer.
Now, your mom's super early, 40, right? Was everybody
that was my grandmother, and
your grandmother.
Yes. And she was very early, and so was one of my aunts. She died in her early 40s as well. So there was a lot of and my aunt was one of my best friends, and yet I was 14 years old. You don't understand that link between, the fact that this woman that you loved so much just died. And yet it was right around the same time that I started smoking. And right. I see it a lot though. I see where people are like, oh, my mom just got diagnosed with cancer, so I started smoking. And I'm like, can you tell me how that makes any sense at all?
Counterintuitive as hell, right? You're right. Got it.
And yet the catch is that in our childhood and growing up, we were just never taught proper coping mechanisms. And so what we do is find something that works. And I watched my parents smoke cigarettes. So of course that was the direction that I went.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I was 18, 19 when I first quit smoking, and I had been smoking since I was 11. My ex-husband at the time was like, this is disgusting. And I was like, well, this is my choice, not yours. And then we decided to have kids. So of course I was able to quit smoking.
Yeah.
And I stayed quit smoking for a few years, having both my kids, but that only lasts so long. And we split up. And in the midst of my split up, my biggest FU to him was to pick up a cigarette again.
You got him good.
I know, right? It's literally drinking poison and waiting for someone else to die.
I'll show you exactly what.
Watch me die. Sorry,
and
what?
So, and also, I feel just overall, you had kids early. I'm just hearing a lot of early things going on here, just in life in general, in addition to the smoking element, because you started at 11. It's super early. But then the kids early, everything's early. There's been deaths early. You seem like a very forward family tree. It is you're kind of ahead in some ways, but also
yeah. My grandmother was with my grandfather when she was 15.
Yeah, right.
It was that. And then back when I was young, it was at 20 you got married and had kids, and I had told myself I wasn't going down that road because I wanted to be the CEO and I wanted to run a company and all these things. But then my sister went and had a baby, and I fell so in love with this baby that I was like, I think I need to have a baby. So
I'm really questioning your decision-making skills.
Yes.
At least then it's oh man, I know how to get back at that guy. It's oh, hey, this baby seems like a great time. It looks like I might dabble.
Yeah. I literally was and I realized, this baby fever thing was a real thing. So I actually even did not have my kid for 2 years after that. I didn't even get pregnant for about 2 years after that. But, the choices that I made, I'm glad that I made, even though there's a lot of them that I literally look at and go, what the hell? But they've all created who I am today. And I'm super grateful for who I've become. So yes, I made some ridiculously stupid decisions, but I also am seeing the ways that we can grow from those things. So
Right.
bad decisions are bad decisions, and hopefully you can find ways to pull yourself out of those bad decisions. Because I at some point started dating someone else a few years after my divorce, and it was kind of at that point that I was like every time I would light a cigarette, this like hot guy that I'm seeing would be like, "Oh, please don't kiss me." And I was just like, he's like, "It's not anything offensive, you just stink." Like, not offensive, but also like I spent hundreds of dollars on perfume so that my cigarette could cover that up. So like it was just a lose-lose here. No matter what, I'm wasting my smell on smelling like crap.
Right.
And
Right.
so it just like it kind of punched me in the head. I couldn't afford to do anything because I was a single mom, and I had all these bills to pay, and I had all these plans with my ex-husband where I was going to be the stay-at-home mom, and like just basically detoured myself way off track. Once I saw this really lovely human be like, "Oh, please don't kiss me, you stink," I was like, "Oh, I've never really enjoyed smoking. I'm aware that I'm killing myself. And if I actually liked myself, I probably wouldn't smoke any cigarettes because I'm literally putting toxins in my body for no reason at all."
Right.
Now, as I realized this about smoking, I also realized it about drinking, because every time I would have, by the second shot, I couldn't drink alcohol like in a drink because it was too much fluid for my stomach. And then I would do a shot, feel nothing, but everything would burn from my throat to my stomach, and then my stomach would be on fire. And then second shot, I almost have a buzz. Third shot was like, now I'm wasted and I'm probably going to spend the rest of the night puking. And so I just kind of aligned all of the things and was like, wow, I'm just killing myself everywhere. I smell like shit. I look like shit. There's pictures of me that like I'm 20 years later and I look younger than I did then.
Yeah.
So
like a total dumpster fire. But at the time, you're like, I'm killing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had my own business. It was not successful, but I had my own business. I was raising my kids by myself, like high stress, but I had no money for anything. Like I couldn't afford to live. And so I was like, I need to stop this. So this lady on my Facebook actually I had posted a thing saying like, hey, I've tried Champix, I've tried Zyban, I've tried all the pills, all the gums, all the patches. Nothing works for me. Does somebody have a solution? And someone had posted and said like, you should try cold laser therapy.
Slow down a little bit. What is it? Say it again.
It's called cold laser therapy.
Cold laser.
Yes.
That's bringing up a lot of questions here. And again, as everybody knows, I walk into these situations. I don't know a damn thing about nothing, right?
Yes.
But lasers have temperatures. I always thought if they did, it'd be hot.
Have you not ever had like like a hair removal laser or anything like that? Shit hurt.
Okay. The answer is no. I haven't. Okay. I wouldn't be against it, but I'm not familiar. So cold laser. Yeah. I imagine you're going to unpack this thing. Okay. But this is where you run into it. It's in the story. You're running into
this is where I hit the cold laser therapy. And I had no idea either, but I also was not about to do any research because someone said it worked. So I wanted to try it. I had tried everything and I was desperate.
Good decision-making skills is like, that person seems like they definitely know everything and I'm going to do it.
Yes. I mean, also, she was somebody who I never thought would quit smoking. So when she said she had done it, I was like, I'm going to try this. Now, again, she had started smoking. So in our conversation, I was like, you say it works, but you're smoking. She's like, I chose to start smoking. If you have the treatment, you'll understand. And I went and I had my first treatment. And this was like 18 years ago, 19 years ago now. And I had my first treatment and I got in my car and I drove home. It was a 3-hour drive from where I had lived. I drove home and I didn't think about smoking once. And now one of my biggest issues with quitting smoking was the fact that thought would not leave my brain. That thought just repeated itself over and over and over and over and over again. And you can't outrun the thought. And then we would just pick up a cigarette because the thought drives you so crazy. And as soon as you have a cigarette, now at least I get an hour away from the thought. And yet I got in my car, drove home for 3 hours and didn't think about it once. Smoking during driving is a major trigger.
Right.
So I drove home and apparently because there was the guy I was seeing came with me because we went to a concert and I was still patting my center console and rolling my window down because I would grab my cigarettes out of the center console, roll my window down, light my cigarette, and then keep driving. And I was still doing the things. And at one point he goes, okay, when are you going to quit smoking? And I was like, wait, what? Wait, what? And I was like, I actually haven't thought about it, not once. And he's like, there's no way that's true. And I was like, since we left that place, I haven't thought about it once. And he's like, okay, well, from what I can see, you're reaching for the cigarette still. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, you keep reaching for your cigarette, rolling down the window. I've asked you a few times to roll the window up. I'm like, I have not thought about it. And that's when I like clued into, okay, so my habit is still there. My body, because this is the thing with a habit, is it doesn't take consciousness to do a habit, right?
Of course not.
You're just going to take the action that you take every single time. So I was taking the action that I would take, and it blew my mind. It literally blew my mind. I went home.
Well, hold on one second. Unpack this for me, because I feel like I'm missing something. So you're doing that, but you don't have the cigarette. And he called you out that you're doing everything but the cigarette.
All the actions. Yeah.
So everything else is like your very normal thing, except for now there's no cigarette in your hand and you're not smoking.
And there's no actual acknowledgement in my consciousness about a cigarette. And every time I would think even the word cigarette, I would only get cig. And then my brain would like and turn to mush, and I'd just move on to something else.
Okay. So you go to the concert, he notices, he says something, you realize, now you're at home.
This was the first moment that I realized that when men say that they are sitting there thinking about nothing, they're actually sitting there thinking about nothing. I thought I was being lied to. I had no idea. And then all of a sudden I started having like these moments of like, where there's nothing going through my mind. And I actually said to the guy,
it's nice.
That's what I said. I was like, so you guys really think about nothing? And he kind of looked at me and he was like, what? And I was like, you actually have moments. Like if I ask you what you're thinking about and you say nothing, like you actually weren't thinking about something. And he's like, no, what did you think we were lying to you? And I was like, yes, I did. I think every woman did, because we don't have blank moments of thought in our brain. So that was a really interesting moment for me as well. But then it was just like this magical experience for me. I went home. I didn't smoke for 5 years. Did not stay with the guy for 5 years.
Right. But okay, yeah, he didn't last. But that's all right. So, this was one treatment. This is one
treatment.
One and done.
Now that being said, what I've seen with one treatment is that typically 60 to 70% of people will be back within 9 months if they only have one treatment. But that is also the industry standard, is to offer you only one treatment and then offer you a refresher within the time of period that your brain is still doing so well you don't feel like you need it, but it's a way to get you back in the door. I know that this will work for me to quit smoking, so if I start smoking again, I'll just come back again. That's not how laser quit works at all.
Got it.
Our goal is to get you to stop, because when you actually stop, you're going to go tell 15 of your friends and maybe 3 of them come see me, and that's going to let me help more people. So my goal here is eventually that laser quit will be shut down, because no one will be addicted to anything. I'll probably be dead by the time that happens. But
all right, now you're moving at light speed here, so if you gotta forgive me, I'm a man. I was thinking about nothing most of that time you were talking, but like
that's perfect.
So like, all right, so you did one treatment, you quit smoking for 5 years.
Yes,
the guy is not important, but then all right, so it's 5 years, right? You did the one treatment, so. Because you jumped ahead now, and it kind of went to a part where like now that's what you're doing. So, but I want to know, at what point in the 5 years did you say, you know what, this is something I've seen, I've experienced, I believe in, and I think I want to be a part of it. And then where did that fall into that time frame?
That piece didn't happen until I started smoking again, and it was one of those
smoking again?
I did. Now again, it was a choice. Okay. It wasn't that suddenly 5 years later I had a craving or I needed to smoke. It was everyone was in my backyard smoking, and I thought, what the hell? Give me one of those. I took it. I had a puff of it, which now, as I understand the science, I basically opened up my nicotine receptors again after them being closed for 5 years. And now I suddenly want to smoke more. And old habits die hard. There's a reason that saying exists. So one puff, burnt my mouth, burnt my throat. My lungs felt like crap. I instantly felt lethargic, tired. I suddenly didn't want to be at the party that's in my backyard. And I was like, ooh, that's awful. And I left it. But the next day, I was a raging psycho. I wanted to smoke so bad. I was right back at where I started from, basically. And the guy I had just started dating was also a smoker. So I just used it as an excuse. All the while feeling so terrible that I wasn't going to the gym. My normal routine didn't apply. I wasn't getting out of bed until 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, it just completely derailed me and my life. And even though it was only 3 weeks, I was super conscious of how it was derailing my life. And if I didn't get my shit together, I knew I'd be not getting my shit together. So I went back down to have a second treatment. And this lady is like 77 years old. She had diabetes. And the first day that I met her, she had had her 1 foot cut off. And now I go back and she's just had both of her legs cut off mid-thigh. And she's 77. So we have a conversation while she's giving me a treatment about the fact that this was really amazing. That's why I'm back. And I would really like to offer something like this. And she said, well, my kids have just forced me into retirement. So I'm actually selling my stuff. And I was like, okay, great. And so we made a deal. I got the money together. I showed up. It took us a couple months to get our shit to get together. And I showed up and I spent 2 hours with this woman. And she's like, there you go. Have a nice day. I'm like, wait, I just gave you all this money and this is all the information you're giving me. I went home. I started, treating friends that wanted to quit smoking and things like that. 85% success rates. It's not something just to snuff out. Like, that's pretty good, especially for any kind of addiction treatment.
Okay.
But I'm an overachiever. I can get 85% without trying at all. High school, elementary school, all of it, 85%, all the way across the board was B's. And I tried not at all. Now, as I'm older, I'm like, I need to put some effort into this because this 85% is not good enough for me. I want 95. I want in the 90s. I want 98. I have some that are 98, but with smokers, we're at 95. So I started working with people that I was starting to see. I started running some advertisements. I got people in and then I'd be like, can I experiment on you? Now, if this doesn't work, you call me tomorrow and we'll go back to the way I know works for sure. But I want to try something different. I would spend thousands of dollars buying a totally different laser. And I would, does this laser work better? Does this laser work better? Does this sequencing work better? And all the things that I had studied were starting to come together. And now I also worked with an acupuncture doctor in the city that was close to the one that I had the original treatment at. And he was working on curing Lyme disease using cold laser therapy. So his focus was not on smoking. So he taught me so much. I spent $5,000 and he was like, you could learn a lot of this stuff on YouTube. You won't get very far, but you could learn a lot of this stuff here. Here's some places to do research. You should maybe take this course and do this and all these things. And so I did all these things. Plus I spent $5,000 with him. I started experimenting on people. And suddenly I found that I was getting the 99% success rates that you hear them talk about on the day of treatment.
Right. Now I've got a few questions. Again, I'm going to rewind you a little bit.
Yeah.
The lady with no legs, she spent 2 hours. You gave her all this money and she basically just showed you how to use the laser gun. You're going to have to unpack that too. Exactly.
That's literally about all I got.
Okay. So, all right. What it's seen. She's got no legs. She's got this laser gun. I'm seeing a gun. What does this thing look like? Does it look like a tattoo gun? Does it look like a...
It does not. It actually looks like, I'm going to show you.
All right.
It looks like a large pin.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
there
battery.
It is.
So we use these ones and it's what it is a very directed laser. So it's for acupressure or acupuncture points.
Okay. This is
but
right.
Let me break this down for you. What I ended up learning in my studies of all of this stuff is that cold laser therapy is low level radiation combined with red light therapy. So you know how you hear everybody talking about, oh my God, I'm doing this red light therapy and all this stuff. And it's like this new trend that's come out over the last few years. It's been around for a long time. It's just now trending. It's incredibly good for your body in multiple ways. With what we're doing with it, we're actually using acupuncture points. Acupuncture has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And the point of acupuncture is to get your body to do what it was designed to do in the first place. Okay. So your body can fix itself. That is one of the coolest things about your body. It's super miraculous.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And when it's given the right instructions, your body literally can fix itself. It can fix everything you've ever done to it and make those things better. So basically what happened is working with this person. Now I also realized a lot of people will hear low level radiation and immediately, nope, not doing radiation.
Right. It freaks them out.
Low level radiation is not
and I just want to catch up here. Not the woman with no legs, but now we're back to the guy with the Lyme disease, the doctor with the Lyme disease. That guy, right?
Not even. This is just this actually, cold laser therapy has actually been around for almost 50 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it has been around for a while. It's just not well known. And so as I started like figuring out these things, like I said, low level radiation is not harmful to you. In fact, it stimulates energies at a level that you just can't accomplish in other ways. So combine that with the red light therapy, which your cells are shown to respond incredibly well to under the microscope when they've got LED light on them, LED red light. And so the combination of these two things is accomplishing so much more than you can accomplish with acupuncture. And there's no pain. So I've had acupuncture. And I got to tell you that when I had it done in my forehead, it was probably the most painful thing ever. And the woman was like, yeah, you have to lay there for 30 minutes with that in. And I was just like, I was in agony just about the entire, it was so uncomfortable. And so for me, I was like, I don't like acupuncture. I'm not sure I would voluntarily pay people to do it for me, even though I've seen the results of it. Then I got into the laser, and it's amazing because now there's no pain involved. You get to sit down and have a nap, basically, while we give you a treatment that's going to change your freaking life. And what we're doing is we're going in and giving your body instruction to recover. So at first, my entire focus was on quitting smoking. I was a quit smoking company. I had branded myself as a quit smoking company. Everyone knew me as the quit smoking lady. Like it was great. And then I had a friend who contacted me and said, hey, my daughter and her boyfriend are using a lot of heroin, and I'm wondering if you can help them. And I was like, I mean, I've read some things about it, so let's try it. The outcome was incredible. They stopped using the day they showed up high. Like they had gotten high half an hour before they walked in my door. And so I sat with them until they were coherent enough for us to have a conversation. And then I took them in one by one and I gave them each a treatment. And they went home that day and they didn't use. And then I had them come back. We kept in touch because I really didn't know, how is the brain going to work with this? Like with smoking, there's not like a big rebound. In fact, with smoking, there's like this 8-week release of endorphins that keeps climbing. And then around 8 weeks is when it starts to fall off and you start to crash.
Okay.
And I didn't know what the reaction was going to be. So I kept in touch with them. Around day 5, 6, they were really like, well, we'd really it feels like we could go use, like, I don't know what to do here. So that's when I actually said, okay, we'll bring them back down and let's treat them again. So I brought them in, treated them. It was the same as every other time. It was like a couple months later, I then recovered and allowed them to keep coming in. So we usually see them about every 6 to 8 weeks to keep their endorphins heightened. Because if I can teach your brain how to keep that endorphin heightened, you won't crash, right? So basically, I kept seeing them every 6 weeks, and they got clean from heroin after the first treatment.
And I mean, of course, the heroin is, vicious.
One of the most powerful opiates out there.
Right. It's vicious. And I've done my fair share of heroin, both pharmaceutically, right, via painkillers, which is an opiates. Also street versions. And so, but yeah, so now when you dial that in, like, have you found like, maybe kind of a sweet spot is it uniquely that sweet spot of like 6 weeks? Is that uniquely individual per the person or kind of per their thing of choice, whether it be drinking or cigarettes or heroin?
So the way that I've found it works is different. So I'm not going to give you too much there because then somebody can steal my methods. I did, because of the 5 years of experimenting on people, I was able to really see the peaks and valleys and when to treat and when not to treat and that type of thing. And so I like to see people have the best results after around 4 treatments, depending on how those are spaced out and stuff like that. So we have 95% success rates at 1 year. Mm-hmm. My competitors don't track for that long. My competitors track literally for the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks at the most. And they'll give you unlimited refreshers for 8 weeks. Well, typically you won't feel like you need those refreshers at all in that 8 weeks, because you're in that 8 weeks, your endorphins are still climbing. So we do things a little different because my goal is to get you to quit and keep you quit.
Right.
So
As you touched on earlier, like you want to like
I don't want
just
to see you
keep
stop for
pushing them.
good. I don't want this to be a temporary fix for someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so it became this thing where I really experimented and I studied and I dug into addiction. I've spent the last 13 years of my life reading addiction books and focusing on addiction. And crazy enough, you focus on certain things and you're going to bring those things. And in the last 13 years, one of my best friends actually is an alcoholic. And I became a sober coach because of the fact that I was able to support her in getting sober and staying sober. And I've supported her through a relapse, and I've supported her through all of the things that she needed to get to the point where she's at now, which she was losing her family and her two little girls that were very young. Her whole life was falling apart because of this. And it just became such a passion for me to be able to help people get clean and sober and then stay clean and sober. And so with her, we have really worked on the trauma that created the problem in the first place. So for me, I wouldn't tell you that addiction is the problem, because it's not. Addiction is their solution to the problem of having emotions and feelings and trauma that are unhealed and that they don't want to feel. Their
And then
addiction
like
gives
you
them the numbing
as you
sensation.
as you talked, sorry, I totally spoke over you, my fault.
Okay.
But like you mentioned that earlier in this conversation, you said it verbatim, is that we don't have the coping skills. So when you lost your parents, the only thing you had seen around was smoking, and then you ended up doing it. And so it's a very shitty way to cope. And so
It
yes,
is.
it is an underlying. Typically, it's the emotion that drives our addictions, and then
Yes.
but then also like just a very like lame scope. But not lame. Well, that sounds like it's usually a product of our environment. And so, just much like yourself, much like myself, my mom drank, like it was just there because that's what I knew. And I was like, well, this is how you do this. And so, but yeah, so you're tailoring all of these things. It sounds like you said miraculous
I know.
to be able to do that. And so you're pushing the envelope as far as like this blending both Eastern acupuncture methods and then modern day technology.
Western,
It
yeah,
sounds absolutely fascinating, right?
it
Like,
really is.
yeah.
And
And
it's so cool because just like you said, like it sounds almost too good to be true. And I try when I'm like, because of what, one of the things that the business is doing now is that we're allowing people to be licensed. So I'm sure you've heard of like the Sonobello, which is like that fat
okay.
laser thing. It makes you skinny and all the things. So what they've done is they go to different spas and they license the spa to offer that service. And that's what we've started to do is we allow other people to offer our services. And I partnered with a new licensee back in September. And not only did she smoke and used it to quit once she had it as a service within her business, but she and I have a video, and I have a testimonial video of her where she says, like, it almost is too good to be true. And you don't amp it up enough because it's that amazing. And I'm like, I can't put it at the level that it actually belongs at, because if I tell you how well it works, you won't put any effort into quitting. And it does require a bit of us. That's addiction.
Right. And so then it would be a crutch. Like I see what you're saying here. It could be kind of a gift and a curse, because
Yeah.
if you just count on that all the time, then it's not really change, right?
Yes.
It's just it would still be the same person. Like, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just, and you had done that person, like you walk through that. So for you to fight against that is very valiant, right? And so
Yeah.
that's amazing. And so how long does it take, like these licensees to learn all that? I mean, again, don't give anything
We can
away
be
here,
set
but
up and running within a month for sure, because
yeah,
there's online training that I have my people set up to do first. And then I do hands on training with them. They treat people, and then we finish that up after they've treated a certain number of people and they're certified. The treatments themselves are the easier part of what we do, because it's the addiction coaching is where like the heavier parts of those things come in for us.
because that's where you kind of dig in a little bit with the emotion and the
Yes.
other underlying things that really
Yes.
drive home the change. Well, what a beautiful marriage that is.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so just to be clear here, though, okay, so it's all of this, right? It's sobriety coaching. Is that what all the licensees are also like? It is also the blend of sobriety
Currently,
coaching
they
and
aren't. It is a piece that I'm encouraging them to do, but that takes a lot more coaching, a lot more support. They have to be hands-on with me and things like that. So for right now, the main focus is getting people to be treated, and then I offer group coaching. I also have a team of coaches in the laser quit business that's what they do is they coach you in your sobriety. They coach you through your trauma, that type of thing. So it is currently something that we continue to offer. And what we really do is we just charge a royalty for how much you're bringing in income wise that gets paid to us based on what we're based basically on our current pricing. So there's a percentage that we charge and things like that. So if somebody's interested in that, they're welcome to reach out. But
you
yeah,
are, in
we still
addition to
offer.
all this, I know I keep interrupting you because I
No,
like
it's
it.
all
I'm,
good.
I'm a
It's all good. It's just
Neanderthal
so
man.
exciting.
I'm a Neanderthal man, and I go through gaps of not thinking. Is very, very, very honest observation. But I mean, I'm wrapping my head around the business model, right? And what a glorious thing that is. I guess I didn't have anything after that thought. I was just very impressed. Like, man, what a glorious way to help. I guess, but you've also like openly said, like, ideally, like going out of business, if you could actually heal every person you encounter, is also kind of like a meta goal, right? Like
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing there. But yeah,
Sadly,
okay.
I don't know that we're going to be at the place. Well, not while I'm alive. And of course, my daughter is also really interested in taking this over when I'm ready to retire, which I'm going to do this until like I'm on my deathbed, I will tell you, because this is my passion project. And what I don't think that we're going to have enough people with the right coping mechanisms to get out of addiction, probably for at least another 100 years. That
Yeah,
being said, we all are starting to really roll into this level of consciousness where we realize we need to fix what was broken and the things that our parents didn't teach us. And at some point, we need to be the thing that breaks that generational gap. We need to create a gap and separate things so that we're not being our parent. I don't hit my kids, my parents hit us. You know what I mean? Like there was very different things, and I was one of the things that broke the generational pattern that was happening in the way I raised my kids. My kids are far more conscious than I ever was at a far younger age. So, and this
yeah,
was all because of the life coaching that I took myself, which then of course led me into wanting to be a life coach, but I didn't want to be just a life coach. I wanted more. And then, my best friend like fell in my lap, and then she's an alcoholic, and now I get all these opportunities to help all these people that have all these addictions. And now I'm like, this is it. This
yeah.
is where my passion is. And even though my only addiction has been smoking, it doesn't mean that I can't help you get there. I understand the desperation. I understand what it's like to be in that place. I've been incredibly uncomfortable, but I've also learned. And now I will tell you, I don't drink coffee.
Hmm.
I am currently on a pop kick, like a no pop for 30 days as a minimum because I don't drink coffee. No
And by the
pop.
way, we call it soda in the United States.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, guys.
That's, this is a bad
It's so
Canadian
funny because
joke.
it's the littlest words too. So yeah, so no drinking, no alcohol, or no drinking, no drugs, no smoking, no marijuana. The odd time with marijuana, and it's a very conscious choice. I don't scroll social media, and if I do, it's a very conscious choice. Like if I ever go on social media, it's usually because my social media woman is like, you're out of the algorithm. You didn't do it. And I'm like, now I'm gonna scroll. And I'll literally sit and watch TV or something and just like
Yeah.
scroll the things, right? So I've become very conscious about all of the things that I use to help me cope. And I just
Mm.
went through some big challenges. And it was really lovely to see how much I have changed and how much control I have over myself and my reaction and my coping mechanisms. And I'm quite proud of the person that I've become, but I didn't become this person overnight. It wasn't this quick thing. It's been this progressive thing. And now my whole goal is just to help people become the best versions of themselves, probably from the shittiest versions of themselves.
Right. That's the comeback. And that's what I mean. I really, really admire also what you said about breaking the generational chains, because I do 100% share that with you. My father was like a cocaine mule, meaning he was, trafficking drugs. My mother's still, she's currently in addiction, alcoholic, and pills and things. I broke that generational chain, and man, and now I have a very young son. He's 10 months. And so I have never been so excited about something like that. Because let's face it, like, I mean, you're very open, like your mother and your father, you said they were awful. They fought each other. They hit you. And, when I think back to my childhood, and I'm like how poorly everything was really handled, nobody talked about any damn thing. It
No.
was crazy. It just like, it makes me wonder if it was just ignorance, or all of their bad habits is masking up their ability to heal or think about that. Who knows? But all I know is a fact is that I've broken those chains, and you've broken those chains. And I mean, there's so very few things as powerful as that.
Yeah.
And so when you can offer somebody the ability to do that in their own, you know, shitty coping mechanisms passed down through 4 or 5 generations or whatever it is. I mean, and you offering a solution that's combining both technology, ancient therapies, right? And then also the empathy and very high level skill set of a sobriety coach. I mean, it's absolutely outstanding, right? It's absolutely outstanding of you just like conjoining all of these worlds together. I gotta say, I'm super, super impressed. It's a lot of things.
Thank you. It is. It's something that needed to come together, because I think we're finally at a place where people are coming into that consciousness. And instead of everything being unconscious and I just act the way that I do. And like, how many times have you heard somebody say, well, this is just the way I was raised?
Right. Right.
As much as I understand that, you also are choosing.
It's a cop-out.
It really is. Like, I have this one person and they said to me, well, I'm reactive because my dad was always reactive. And I was like, and yet you choose to continue being reactive because your parents have no control over you, and they haven't in years. So it's a choice we make. It's a choice we make to continue to drink. It's a choice we make to be scared of what's coming in front of us is normal, but it's a choice. What am I going to do? Am I going to stay in doing what I'm doing, or am I going to find a way that's different than what I'm doing? And I know all of the things that are happening around us is, well, our conventional rehab center is the answer. And as much as that is a great solution, I think they need to incorporate a lot of what we offer into their businesses to make it so it's actually successful when these people leave, because we need to have all of these things in order to actually clear out our generational trauma. We need to clear out these things. And now one of the biggest things is when we use any kind of substance for a long period of time, it takes your brain and it changes the chemical and physiological makeup of it. And it takes your brain about 18 months, between 14 and 18 months, to recover from that. And what I mean by recover is to have normal levels of endorphins and chemicals going through your brain, 14 to 18 months. So they want you to get sober and continue to suffer with these imbalanced brain chemicals. And if you've ever been depressed, you understand it's not a choice you make, it's an imbalance in your brain. Mm-hmm. And they want you to deal with your trauma and start healing and do all these things, but your brain isn't even functioning normally. So how are you supposed to do that? And then because your brain's not functioning normally, a lot of addicts will do what we call dry drunking. So they'll be sober, but they're still acting in all the ways. And a ton of addicts will use sugar because it releases massive levels of dopamine, and that's what you're missing. Now, the thing that Laser Quit does is re-release all of these endorphins and teach your brain how to normalize these endorphins way before 18 months, which now gives you the ability to use your brain to actually start healing it. Now I can start healing my trauma because my brain chemicals are normalized.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously I haven't been a part of the laser element, but like, you're not lying when it says because there's so many varying levels, and depending on where somebody's at, the degree to which you're getting out of the trenches, it's like there's so many different levels to it, right? There's a solid solid case for that 72-hour period is a very, very strong window for a lot of change happening. And obviously that has to happen first before you make it to like the 30-day window. And there's a lot of things happening there. But I agree wholeheartedly that it ain't even 3 months, it ain't 6 months. It's not like it's well into a
14 to
year
18
plus.
months. And that's
Right.
the thing. They say that the hardest parts are 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. Those are the three hardest ones to really get through. And then it starts to get slightly easier. But with laser quit, you don't have to wait for that 3 months. You don't have to sit there being like, eventually my brain's going to feel better and eventually I'm going to be able to feel good. You actually have your treatment and you feel more normal than you felt in years. And then you come back and you have your first follow-up treatment. And now you're like, oh shit, I can do this, rather than waiting for a year and struggling. I've never seen people struggle so hard for that first year. But with laser good treatments, you don't need to struggle for that year. You can get sober without massive detox symptoms in most people. You
Yeah.
can get sober in no time and feel good, which allows you to work on the shit that caused it in the first place so we can actually heal the trauma so that we don't go back to it. That's how come
Yeah.
1 year is such an impossible thing for people to reach, is because your brain chemicals are not normal.
Yeah. Yeah. And also around the year for myself, it was where I started being able to stretch my thoughts into the future. Not necessarily so much about working with the past and solving those issues, but also seeing into the future. Because when I was in active addiction, my window of time was the window of time that I was high. So it was 4 hours. That was it. I couldn't stretch my thoughts into the future anything further than that. And so that was a huge, huge task, a huge like goal of mine, was to even think a month into the future. But when I got to the year, I mean, it took forever. So like when you're offering and speaking about a tool to expedite any of that process, yeah, like believe me wholeheartedly, like, it's very much needed and also welcomed, because
Yeah.
it was wildly difficult to stretch my thoughts into the future. And then with the past, the trick was not to dwell in the past, right? So
Yeah.
it was very, very, very tricky to pull that off. And you got an excellent point that the 1 year is a very, very tough threshold to cross.
It is. And that is a long period of time. Think about 365 days at 24 hours a day. Like, that's a long period of time that your brain and body need to recover. And now I'm supposed to be sober and I'm supposed to be working on my mental health and I'm supposed to be doing better. And none of this wants to do any of that, because all this wants to do is go back to using, because it was the easiest way to live my life, even though it
All right.
wasn't easy. And that's the thing, is it's hard to be an addict, but it's hard to be sober. It's
It is
hard to
hard
be
to be.
fat, but it's hard to be fit. It's hard to have
Yeah.
coping mechanisms, but it's hard not to. What hard are you going to do? Because I will tell you that from my experience, picking an easier hard
Yeah.
has given me yes, this is the easier way out. Yeah, they're both hard. No matter what I do, it's going to be hard, but I want to take the one that's less difficult. And
Yeah.
going to the gym every day is way easier than sitting on my couch being in pain because I'm overweight.
Yep. And having lacking that foresight can be very hard. It makes it seem hard.
It does. I mean, life is
Man,
hard. Let's be real.
it can turn into a shit show often. But I want to know about your life coming up. What's going
Oh,
on? What's on the
oh, I'm
horizon?
so excited about all the things that are coming up. So we have just
Yes.
partnered with uh, a brain scan company so that I can prove, because in order to prove the science of what I'm saying, I would need, and now I'm talking Canadian dollars, and in Canada, we would need MRIs and CAT scans before and after each treatment. Now, the cost of that in Canada is a minimum of $2,500 per scan. So I'm looking at $5,000 just before one single treatment for one single person. And that's a lot of money.
It is.
And I'm not rich at all. I am following my passion project. So I'm definitely not even rolling in the dough. The company has yet to make money. And I've been doing this for 13 years. So it's a good thing I have other businesses that pay the bills. But this one is such a passion project. So as life does what it's supposed to and we all align, I actually partnered with a brain scanning company that we are going to be scanning 5 people per addiction. So we'll be doing 5 people for smoking, 5 people for alcohol, 5 people for opiates. And we're going to prove that by doing a treatment before each treatment, or doing a scan before each treatment and after each treatment for the program in full to show that the markers on these things are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm super excited about that, because now not only am I telling you it, not only do I have all these testimonials, which speak for themselves, now I'm giving you the science behind it as well. So I'm super excited about that. Currently, I have 5 locations in British Columbia and Alberta, but we are now expanding into licensing people. So if you have another business and you're interested in offering these services, reach out to me. Laserquittherapy.ca is our website, or laserquit.net will also redirect you to the website.
Yeah.
And what
I'm
we're
going to line
doing,
that all up. I'm going to line that up for everybody when
perfect. I appreciate that.
Yep. Right.
So what we're doing is we're letting people who have other businesses and other services partner with us, in the sense that now you can be a licensed partner to sell LaserQuit services. So I teach you how to do everything. We provide the laser. We set everything up so that you are ready to roll. We give you all our marketing. We give you everything. And then we just charge you royalties for what we have built so that you can run into this business ready to go. And so that's the big goal right now, is not to continue to open more of my own locations, but to have other businesses open a lot of our locations. Mostly because if I open more locations, I will take away from the coaching side of things for me, and I'll have more focus on things I don't necessarily want to be focused on. So this licensing partner thing is just the best for me, because it allows me to grow the business, reach so many more people, but stay doing the things that I love and the things I'm passionate about. So that's kind of what we're headed into right now with all of these things. We're just going to keep growing, and are the goal to hopefully stop addiction at some point in the world.
Well, put a dent in it at the very least. And so I applaud you for that. And this has been a very, very, very cool conversation. But yeah, this is Meridee, and I feel enlightened about a lot of things here.
Ryan.
And I kind of wish, sometimes when I learn all this new stuff, it's like, man, I really wish it was around, because I just went the hard route, right?
Yes.
But this is a blessing. This is a massive blessing. And the work that you're doing is phenomenal. It's impressive. Yeah. And so guys, this has been another episode of The Next Fix. Please reach out to Meridee, and I'm going to have links for everybody. Until the next episode, I'll see you.
Bye, guys.